Hi guys, welcome back to Full Surrender Podcast. I am your host Carol Faye. Thank you for just joining me today on another episode. Um, if you have watched my last episode or episodes, um, I spoke about how lately I've been feeling like I am in my Gethsemane season. Um, we know that when Jesus went off to pray, he prayed and he said, Lord, if you could just take this cup away from me, but nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. And in scripture, it speaks about how an angel came to comfort him, right? And I've been praying that, Lord, if you don't take me out of this, or if you don't deliver me, or if you don't heal me in the way in which I think that you should, or in the way in which I believe that you will. I pray that in the midst of me just going through it, I pray that you would just send an angel to comfort me. I pray that you would comfort me. I pray that your word would continue to strengthen me. I pray that I would continue to just, be in your word. And um being a Christian is hard. Life is hard, and oftentimes you are going to endure certain sufferings, right? You're going to endure certain sufferings. And today I also want to go over Daniel. And when Daniel was thrown into the lions, then I do want to go over that. But before I start reading that, I just want to encourage you with a scripture that I was reading yesterday that encouraged me. It was in Psalms 118. Wait, I have to find it. Yes, Psalms 118. Um Psalms 118, and I'm going to start at verse 13, right? Where um it says, "They pushed me hard to make me fall, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. There are shouts of joy and victory in the tents of the righteous. The Lord's right hand performs valiantly. The Lord's right hand is raised. The Lord's right hand performs valiantly. I will not die, but I will live." Okay, I want to emphasize this part. Starting at verse 17. "I will not die, but I will live and proclaim what the Lord has done. The Lord disciplined me severely, but did not give me over to death." Let me read that one more time. Verse 17. "I will not die, but I will live." You will not die, but you will live. Even for myself, Carol, you will not die, but you will live and proclaim what the Lord has done. You're going to proclaim what the Lord has done. You're going to have a new song. You're going to have a new song. You're going to proclaim what the Lord has done. And then it goes on to say, "The Lord disciplined me severely," right? It was the Lord that disciplined me severely, but did not give me over to death. And there are many people in the scripture that we can look at who had moments of suffering, right? Who went through trials and tribulations, but they did not die. They did not die. I love when Jesus told them, like, don't you know that you only have this authority because it was given to you, it was given over to you by my Father. If it was not given over to you by my Father, you would not have the authority. Don't you know that I can call up angels to come on my behalf? Right? And today in church there was a image. I'm going to try and find the image. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but it was an image, right? And I guess my memory sucks, but I'm going to try. I guess it was a lot of children, and I think it was moms that were killed, right? And there was a painting that was created, and in the painting you have Jesus extending his arms on like each side, and it emphasized how Jesus holds all things together. God holds all things together, right? And I one of the beautiful things about God, right, is that he literally has like dominion over everything. Is that the right word? He has dominion over everything. He has authority over everything. And if it's the same God, if you serve the same God that has dominion over everything, to where Daniel was in the lion's den, but he did not die, right? If that is that same God, I pray that not only you, but also me would trust that God. That if you can't trust in your circumstances, or if you don't have faith in your situation, have faith in God. Because not only does God give us strength, but He is also our strength. His word is also our strength. He will give you strength, right? Just like it spoke about how an angel comforted Jesus. There's a scripture that I want to read. It says, "Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister to those who will inherit salvation?" Angels are ministering spirits, right? That God will use to minister to us. And yeah, let us start. Let us start with Daniel. So I really don't know where to start off reading, because I don't believe that I want to read the whole thing of Daniel 6, but it was just so much. It was literally just so much. So just a little background, right? I have to keep tapping my iPad so it doesn't turn off. So we know, okay, let me read the beginning really quick. So it says, Darius decided to appoint 120 satraps, right? These are protectors of the kingdom, people who protected the kingdom, right? Over the kingdom, stationed throughout the realm, and over them 3 administrators, including Daniel. So Daniel was one of the administrators. So let's remember that. Okay, let's not forget that, because that's going to become beneficial as we read later on. These satraps would be accountable to them so that the king would not be defrauded. Daniel distinguished himself above the administrators and satraps because he had an extraordinary spirit. Right? So Daniel distinguished himself because he had an extraordinary spirit. So the king planned to set him over the whole realm. And then it goes on to say, the administrators and satraps therefore kept trying to find charge against Daniel regarding the kingdom. So these people, they are looking for flaws in Daniel. They are trying to find things in Daniel so that they could charge him. Right? And it even later goes on to say in verse 5, where they said, then these men said, we will never find any charge against this Daniel unless we find something against him concerning the law of his God. Pause right there. The law of his God. So they know that the only way that they would find a flaw in Daniel is if it's something that is concerning the law of Daniel's God. Isn't that something to be like happy about? Because imagine somebody saying, hey, the only way that we can find something to charge you against is if it's something concerning the law of your God. Okay, so it goes on to say, so the administrators and the satraps went to gather the king and said, may King Darius live forever. All the administrators of the kingdom, the prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an edict that for 30 days anyone who petitions any god or man except you, the king, will be thrown into the lion's den. Now, right there, we know that that's a lie. Because he said all the administrators. That is a lie. Because if you go back to, I think, verse 1 or 2, Daniel was one of them. And Daniel had no clue about what's going on. So they are trying to put this into place where anybody who petitions any god or man except the king would basically get in trouble and be thrown into the pit. And they knew that if they put that into place, then Daniel would get in trouble. Because Daniel was a man that was always praying to his God. Daniel was a faithful man of God. So their objective was to destroy Daniel. It was not to create unity. It was not so that people can be in one accord. It was not so that the king could be exalted. No, they wanted to destroy Daniel. So after that, they got the king to sign it, right? And then verse 10 says, so I'm just like skipping parts, if that makes sense. And then it goes on to say, verse 10, then Daniel learned that the document had been signed. So remember, they said that all have agreed. They lied. They manipulated the king and told him that everybody has agreed that you should do this thing. But in reality, everybody did not agree to it because Daniel had no knowledge of it. So now in verse 10 we have when it says, when Daniel learned that the document had been signed. So now Daniel knows. He went into his house, right? The windows down in his upstairs room open towards Jerusalem. And three times a day he went down to his knees, prayed, and gave thanks to his God, just as he has done before. So, even when Daniel learned about this document that has now been signed, where they are saying that for 30 days, anybody who makes a petition to any god outside of the king is going to be thrown into the pit. It says that Daniel went into his house, went upstairs into the upper room, opened the windows facing Jerusalem, and he prayed. He would do this 3 times a day. He would go down on his knees and pray and give thanks to his God. Just as he has done before. And then it says, then these men went as a group and found Daniel petitioning and imploring his God. Now, let me stop really quick, okay? Because this reminded me of something. When I was in high school, listen, maybe the word is rebellious. I don't know. But when I was in high school, I was in class. It was theater class, right? And there was a girl. The girl was sad. She was depressed. She was going through things, right? And I would try to talk to her, make sure she's okay. And I remember one time the teacher was like, oh, if I can't pray in class, y'all can't pray in class either. You know what I did? I turned around and I prayed. Because, listen, I don't know. Maybe this is... You're not going to tell me not to pray. You're not going to tell me not to pray. I don't care if I am at work. And listen, I don't care if I am at work. I don't care if I am at school. I don't care about none of that. You're not going to tell me that I cannot pray. You can't tell me that I cannot pray. If I am at work and someone needs prayer, you can't tell me that I cannot pray. Because this is how I see it. Yes, the company is paying me bi-weekly, whatever it is that they're doing, right? But at the end of the day, I know that my God gets the final say, not the company. I believe that oftentimes it can be so easy to compromise because we don't want to lose whatever it is that we might lose if we don't compromise, whether that's the friend, right, or the friends, whether that's the job, whether that's the platform, whether that's the money. It becomes easy to compromise because we don't want to lose the things that we might lose if we do not compromise. But I believe that God gets the final say in any and everything. He gets the final say in any and everything. Just like when they were fishing, right? They've been fishing all day, have not caught nothing. Jesus said, put it in, right? And they caught. Overflow. Abundance. Understand this, that the things that feel and seem impossible based off human effort Just because it is impossible in human effort does not mean that it is impossible with God. Just because you cannot do it does not mean that God cannot do it. Just because you do not see what is on the other side, or maybe you're like, Lord, can this really happen for me? Lord, what is on the other side of disobedience? Of not disobedience, but me being obedient in this. You don't know what is on the other side. But because you don't know what's on the other side of you being obedient now, or what's on the other side of this suffering that you are enduring now, it's like, dang God. We become doubtful. We have all these thoughts going on in our head because simply we don't know what's on the other side. And it becomes easy to compromise, right? Because again, it is so much easier for you to go out. Let's say the Lord tells you, okay, well, don't be in a relationship this whole year. But you don't want to wait. You're like, Lord, I don't want to wait. It is so much easier to go and do it yourself sometimes than it is for you to sit and wait on the Lord. Right? But even in your disobedience, it still will cost you something. Obedience costs something. Disobedience will also cost you something. And I don't know where I was trying to go with that. But yeah, I was talking about the story where I was in high school or even at work, wherever I am. Don't tell me that I cannot pray. Don't tell me that I cannot pray. Because I'm not afraid to lose my job. I'm not afraid to lose friends. Yes, it sucks. But I'm not afraid to lose friends. I'm not afraid to lose whatever it is that I have to lose for the sake of the gospel. Because if he is who he says that he is, then surely he will keep me. Just like he kept Daniel. Surely he will keep me. Let me continue to read because I'm just ranting and I don't really know what I was ranting about. I was probably hopping everywhere, talking about all different kind of topics. So then it goes on to say, verse 11, then these men went as a group. Come on now. As a group. They went as a group and found Daniel petitioning and imploring his God. So they approached the king and asked about his edict. Didn't you sign an edict that for 30 days, any person who petitions any god or man except you, the king, will be thrown into the lion's den? So now they're like, oh, we got him trapped, huh? Yeah, Daniel, we got you trapped. We were looking for flaws, but we could not find none. But we knew that if we did something concerning the God in which you say that you serve, we will trap you. And now, hey, they went to the king. Like, this man is over here petitioning to another God, and it's not true. Okay? So, and then it goes on to say, the king answered, as the law of Medes and Persians, the order stands and is irreversible. Now, y'all, again, I don't know how to say words correctly, okay? I don't know how to say these words. And then verse 13 said, then they replied to the king, Daniel, one of the Judean exiles, has ignored you. The king and the edict you signed, for he prays 3 times a day. As soon as the king heard this, he was very displeased. He set his mind on rescuing Daniel and made every effort until sundown to deliver him. To deliver Daniel. And then it goes on to say, then these men went together to the king and said to him, you know, your majesty, that it is a law of the Medes and the Persians that no edict or ordinance the king established can be changed. So the king gave order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion den. The king said to Daniel, may your God, whom you continually serve, rescue you. May your God, who you continuously serve, rescue you. I love that part. He recognizes that Daniel continuously serves this God. May that God rescue you. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. The king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signet ring of the nobles, so that nothing in regards to Daniel could be changed. So nothing can come out, nothing can come in. Then the king went to his place and spent the night fasting. No devotions were brought to him, and he could not sleep. So the king could not sleep. The king was sleepless. He could not sleep. It says, at the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he reached the den, he cried out in anguish to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God. When I read that, I was like, wow. He literally said, Daniel, servant of the living God. The king said, has your God, whom you continually serve, been able to rescue you from the lions? Then Daniel spoke with the king. May the king live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, and they haven't harmed me, for I was found innocent before him, and also before you, your majesty. I have done no harm. Isn't that crazy? That he is in the lion's den, and literally the lions could not touch him. The lions did not touch him. What was he doing in there with the lions? I don't know. If it was me, I would have been side-eyeing. For real. I would have been side-eyeing. It's like, lions? I would have been side-eyeing. And it says, the king was overjoyed and gave orders to take Daniel out of the den. When Daniel was brought up from the den, he was found to be unharmed, for he entrusted in his God. He entrusted in his God. Daniel had faith in his God, right? The king then gave the command, and those men who were maliciously accused Daniel were brought and thrown into the lion's den. They, their children, and their wives, they had not reached the bottom of the den before the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. So their bones were crushed, but Daniel was okay, right? Daniel had faith. Daniel had faith that his God would keep him. Daniel had faith that his God would protect him, even in the midst of lions. Even with him being in the pit, he had faith. Even when he heard about the documents, you know what he did? He went up into the upper room, windows open, facing Jerusalem, praying as he had done before. So this, I don't know, you could call it trial. You could call it a test, right? Whatever it is that you want to call it. This thing that he was going through, this news that he just heard, did not stop him from worshiping and living for the Lord like he was doing before. And I hope that ministers to you, because although Daniel just saw these new documents, it could be whatever that is for you. It could be a medical bill. It could be a diagnosis. It could be you got laid off at your job. It could be a divorce. It could be your finances just are not right. Right? It can be you got denied to go to school. Right? It could be anything. It said that Daniel went up and Daniel prayed as he had done before. So he did not allow his current situation to dictate how he worships the Lord, to dictate whether he's still going to pray to the Lord or not, right? And I think that's the part that's kind of hard. Let me explain. Because at the end of the day, we are like creatures, creature likeness. We are like creatures, right? And there will be times where, man, Lord, I don't know the words to say, right? Sometimes the only thing you can do is just listen to worship music and weep. Sometimes you can't even get the words out of your mouth, right? I am in a season where it's like, Lord, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Sometimes I don't know what to say. Sometimes the only thing that I can say is thank you, right? The only thing that I can say, Lord, is I trust you. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what's on the other side of this. I don't know what's on the other side of this rejection, right? I don't know what's on the other side of me being obedient in this. I don't know what's on the other side of you calling me out of this city or this town or this state. I don't know what's on the other side of me losing these relationships, but I trust you. But I trust you. It's just like a heart of surrender, a heart of submission, right? Because again, the more and more that I draw into the Lord, the more and more I realize how weak I am, how I'm not self sufficient. He's self sufficient, but I'm not. It makes me realize how much of a sheep, like goofy, I am because I don't know it all. And when I think that I know it, I really don't know it at all. So it's like, Lord, whatever it is that you want to do, just do it. But in the midst of you doing it, in the midst of the hardship, in the midst of the trials and the tribulations, I just pray, God, that you would keep me. I pray that you would comfort me. I pray that you would continue to be my strength and give me strength. Because again, it's not going to be easy. But may we be encouraged by Daniel. May we be encouraged by other stories in the Bible. May we be encouraged by the things that we've seen the Lord do, not only in our lives, but the lives of other people. The testimonies that we've heard. That if the Lord can do it for your ancestors, if the Lord can do it for your parents, if the Lord can do it for your siblings, if the Lord can do it for Daniel, if the Lord can do it for Elijah, if the Lord can do it for Abraham, if the Lord can do it for Joseph, right? If the Lord can do it for all these people in the Bible, then the Lord can do it for you. And we get in certain moments in our lives, and I've been there. I'm there a lot where we don't feel worthy. We feel like we've messed up, so it's like I've missed the mark. I've missed the mark. But again, man, may you be encouraged because the Lord wants to restore. The Lord wants to redeem. The Lord wants to use you. You're not too far gone. Even if you've made a mistake, even if you've fallen short, which we've all had. We've all had that. We've all fallen short. But may you be encouraged in knowing that you are not too far gone. That the Lord can still use you. That the Lord has things that if he would show you what he has or where you'd be 10, 20 years from now, you'd be like, dang, I could have never imagined that for myself. I could have never imagined that for myself. But I want to leave you with 4 points, right, that I wrote down because it encouraged me last night, but also Daniel encouraged me because even in his situation, he was still doing what he was doing before, praying 3 times. He had faith that the Lord would rescue him. But these are the 3 points. 1, you're in a pit, like me right now. I feel like listen, life is kicking my butt, okay? My thoughts are everywhere. My mind is everywhere. Let me be honest. But you're in a pit. When you are in a pit, take refuge in the Lord. Cry out to the Lord while you are in the pit. Because the Lord will hear you, right? The Lord may send an angel just like he did with Jesus. The Lord may send a friend. The Lord may send your pastor. The Lord may send a stranger. But cry out to the Lord. Wait on the Lord, right? And the waiting is hard. Why is the waiting hard sometimes? The waiting is hard sometimes because our timing is not his timing, right? He might not do it in the time in which we want him to do it. He might not do it at all. But understand that even if the Lord does not do it at all in the way in which you want him to do it, his way is still sovereign. He is still wise in all his ways, right? Even if it does not make sense to you, trust in the Lord and wait on the Lord. because his timing is ever rarely our timing. But again, he is sovereign. He's above everything. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Our Father who art in heaven. He's in heaven. We are down here. Right? Our thoughts are not his thoughts. Our ways are not his ways. And then I also wrote down, after waiting, or while you're waiting, make sure that you are humble. Make sure that you continue to have integrity. Make sure that you continue to walk from a place of obedience, right? And in the waiting, the Lord will rescue you, just like with the people in Acts when they were put in prison. I think they were singing hymns, right? And they were rescued. Just like Daniel, he was rescued. He will rescue you in his way. Right? And again, he will put a new song in your mouth, just like in Psalms 118. He will give you a new song. He will give you a new song. Y'all, I have to end this recording because my iPad is 4% and it's going to die. But I hope that you are encouraged. And again, if I could leave you with this again, like Daniel, when Daniel saw the documents, he continued to do what he did before. He continued to do what he did before. And that's for you. Even while you're at work, whatever environment that you are in, be a person of integrity. Be a person that is humble. Be a person that is respectful. But do not compromise your faith. Do not compromise your faith. Daniel went and continued to pray like he did before, right? But again, when you are in the prayer, cry out to the Lord. Wait on the Lord. Be obedient. Be a person of humility. Be a person of integrity while you're waiting on the Lord. And the Lord will rescue you in his timing. And even in the waiting is hard, but that's why you need to be praying. Pray and fast. Pray and fast. That is something that we need to be doing, just like he told his disciples to pray. Just like when he went off to pray, he told them to stay watchful. Pray. Pray for yourself. Cover yourselves. Pray for the world. Pray for the nation. Pray for your brothers and sisters. Pray for your family. But we need to be a people of prayer, because prayer changes things. Prayer changes our hearts as well. And that is all that I wanted to leave you guys with today on another episode of Full Surrender Podcast. I love you guys. May you always and forever just continue to be encouraged. May we encourage one another and restore one another in love, and remind ourselves of our identity, like the Pastor Brian talks about at church, right? Remind yourself of your identity. May you be a reminder to other people of their identity and restore them back in the family. Because hey, we could all use a little bit of love and a little bit of kindness and a little bit of encouragement, because life is hard. Life is not easy. Life is hard. But understand that we have the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwelling on the inside of us, right? And the Lord will keep you. And the Lord will keep you. Just continue to wait, because he will blow your mind. He will do things that you never even thought was possible. Trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding. I love you guys. Goodbye.